Yes, we are live. What's up, guys? I am James Hake. This is the Hake Report. I am live on Periscope, YouTube, D Live, Facebook, and hopefully Twitch. Mixer is gone. Well, Mixer got bought by Facebook, so Facebook Gaming, right? So I don't even know what the difference is, but I am live on Facebook Normal, Facebook Live. So, it is Monday, August 3rd, 2020, the first streaming day of Men's History Month, because Saturday and Sunday, I take the day off of streaming, except, of course, for Church with Jesse Lee Peterson, but that's not my channel. So, and I'm the producer for Church with Jesse Lee Peterson. It is 9:04 a.m. U.S. Pacific Daylight Time. Let's get started with the show.
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
Hey, guys!
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
So, how is everybody doing? I am doing well. So far, so good. I've been walking, roughly an hour a day, except for a couple of days. And I think that's good for my beta back. Baby steps, right? Pretty soon I'll start exercising again like a normal person. But you guys can call in 888-775-3773. Blend t-shirt of, get a job. Get a job logo thing. His YouTube, this is his YouTube profile pic. And it says, get a job. It almost looks like a record. The A looking like the middle of the record. But, yes, you guys were making fun of me. Some of you guys were making fun of me for my old version of the Get a Job t-shirt, in which Teespring, for some reason, every now and then they'll put the print way up high on the t-shirt. So if that happens to you, just hold 4 fingers here, and if it's more than 4, if it's too far down or too far up, just get into contact with Teespring. Oh man, we cut out, but we're back. We cut out, but we're back, guys. Sorry to you, to Facebook and Periscope. I think I did see that Periscope went down. Man, what's going on? This happened to the Jesse Lee Peterson show too, by the way. Buffering. Someone get Bill. Fix the stream. I wonder if it's because the bit rate is not too high. 1,700, 2,700? I don't know. 3,000, 3,700, 4,500. Bill, fix the stream because this thing keeps on happening. Yeah, I'm okay. But yeah. Oh, really, Evgeny Crosby? Don't say that. I hope that's not true. Yeah, even I'm losing the connection. And I'm on LTE. Okay, guys. So, press 1 if the stream is great. Press 2 if it's awful, in which case you wouldn't even be able to hear me saying press 2. Press 3 if the stream is spotty. And just let me know how it's going. Okay? 1 is great, 2 is awful, 3 is, okay. Anyways, yeah, I was wearing this other full cotton t-shirt from Get a Job, and I didn't notice that it was too high, so it was like too late to send them back, and it's like been months. So people were making fun of it, and all that stuff. Anyways, Hake news, not fake news. Yeah, so, by the way, it is Men's History Month, and over the course of this month, I am going to be naming and telling about some men that I respect, and I think you should too. Some of you may already know about them. In fact, I covered some men who, in White History Month, whom I very much respect, including the great Sheriff Joe Arpaio, who was maligned by the media, so much so that, I wasn't really paying a lot of attention to politics. And I started to believe a little bit of this stuff. I'm like, he looks kind of ugly back then. This was like 10 years ago, roughly. And I fell for it a little bit. And then I heard him on the Jesse Lee Peterson show, and he's like, and Jesse's respecting him. I'm like, It made me think again and take a second look. And it turns out that he is indeed a great man. Sheriff Joe Arpaio. Still trucking. Isn't he 88 years old or something like that? Sheriff Joe age. But yes, 88 years old. And he's running for office again. He wants an 8th term. He served, I believe, 7 terms in Arizona, Maricopa County, as the lead sheriff from 1993 to 2017. And he lost to Democrat Paul Penzone in 2016. 2 to 3. You guys are giving me feedback on this stuff. Lots of threes. Across all platforms, except for, lots of threes, including YouTube and D Live. Some ones, some threes. So appreciate you guys. Appreciate you guys giving me feedback on this stuff. What a shame. But we're fixing it. We're working on it. By we, I mean they. So that's an honorable man. I'm glad that we have an actual man in office. President Trump. A great man making history. And he is white history too. He has, he tweeted out, by the way, about this ridiculous, this judge struck down or overturned the death penalty of the Boston bomber Dzhokhar Tsarnaev, whom Rolling Stone put on the cover of their magazine. Didn't Rolling Stone put him on the cover of their magazine? I think they did, making him look like a rock star. Just sick. Am I going to talk about you, Wayne and Rhonda? Yeah, I'm seeing spottiness too on the Periscope, so I don't know what's going on. Apologies, guys. Bear with me. You can always get the audio podcast after the program. I download it, turn it into an audio file, and upload it onto Audio Podcast, Spotify, iTunes, which is Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Spreaker, not Spreaker so much, Stitcher, and many other platforms. You can get it. You can get the audio podcast. And then you don't even have to require so much data, by the way. It is, it's a smaller file. It's nice. So, President Trump, he tweeted, let me get this tweet for you guys. I touched on it at the end of Hake News in the end of hour 2 leading into hour 3. He tweeted, rarely has anybody deserved the death penalty more than the Boston bomber Dzhokhar Tsarnaev. And it was the Tsarnaev brothers. And I think the other brother, was he killed in the manhunt that shut Boston down, the city of Boston, after the Boston Marathon bombing? They put nails and things in pressure cookers, and they went off and maimed, and I think it killed some people. And it was a horrific terror attack. They were indeed Muslims. Were they white Muslims? I don't know. Do these guys count as white? They were from some other country. And by the way, Russia warned us about them. This was during the Obama administration. This was in, what was it? What year was it? It was before 2016, certainly. 2014, maybe? And they were on the run. Like I said, the city of Boston, big city, lively city, turned into a ghost town. They shut down the city. That is crazy, because there was this crazy manhunt for these guys. And they found, I think they killed one guy, and they found Dzhokhar Tsarnaev, the younger brother, who he was pretending like, oh no, he was just following in his big brother's footsteps. Yeah, right. I think they found him in some guy's boat. You know how some some guys have a boat, right, in their driveway, just parked, ready to go on a fun boating trip. They found him inside somebody's boat. Not that that person was hiding him or anything. But, and that was, let me see, Boston Marathon bombing. I got to find out when this was because it's relevant. Because it's ridiculous that he's not dead already, in all honesty. 2013, April 2013. 2 homemade pressure cooker bombs detonated 14 seconds and 210 yards apart. Crazy. Injuries, 280. 3 deaths. So Trump tweeted, rarely has anybody deserved the death penalty more than the Boston Marathon bomber. And he came here, he and his brother came here as minors, very common for terror attackers to have come here as minors or to be born here as anchor babies. And he said, Trump tweeted, the court agreed that this was one of the worst domestic terrorist attacks since the 9/11 atrocities. Yet the appellate court tossed out the death sentence. So many lives lost and ruined. The federal government must again seek the death penalty in a do-over of that chapter for the original trial. Our country cannot let the appellate decision stand. Also, it is ridiculous that this process is taking so long. I totally agree with him on that. I love boomers. At least when they're sensible like this. I mean, you have to love them anyways, even when they're nonsensible, right? But he is so right. And this person, Feline Fairy, aptly named 123, says, what good does it do to give the death penalty? They are already in custody. Murder is murder. It's not murder to kill somebody who deserves the death penalty. It's not murder. That's called the death penalty. It's called an execution. And execution has become like a buzzword. Like they accused former officer Darren Wilson of executing Michael Brown, the gentle giant who attacked, according to all evidence, who attacked Officer Darren Wilson and tried to kill him, tried to take his gun and fired off a shot or two. Luckily, it went into his own hand, I think. But that's not an execution. An execution is after a court found him guilty, and which should have been a quick trial because it's quite clear that it was him. There's no doubt, there's no reasonable doubt that it was him. Therefore, it should be done quickly. But we don't have a just justice system right now in the country, especially with so many unjust judges who are liberals and female-minded people. Not just the women, not just the female judges, but these female-minded liberal males who are, and it's like a racket right now. The lawyers are some of the most sleazy people you can imagine. And they're just trying to delay, appeal. For what? He's guilty. You got to kill him. He killed others. He's got to die. Right? And this is not a revenge thing. This is, 1, it's justice. 2, it's swift justice. It has to be swift. That way, you think twice. When you're soft on crime, that increases crime. And that's what you've seen that over and over with the liberals. And they're hard on the cops, but soft on the criminals. They're hard on the whites, but soft on the blacks. It's crazy. It's very backwards. They're hard on the men, but very soft on the females who commit all kinds of crimes. It's really evil. And so I'm glad for Trump. You know, he also stood by a man who was smeared and railroaded. I believe he tweeted out that this man was railroaded. The great boxer. He turned a little weird. I mean, maybe he was always weird. Mike Tyson. He was accused of some type of rape thing. And Trump is like, this man was railroaded. He didn't jump into this blind wailing attack on men. Just blindly flailing about, kissing up to the females. Or this, there isn't a cultural attack on men. where the men are responsible for when the women do wrong. It's crazy. You know, even to this day, there's Christians who want to put all the blame on Adam instead of on Eve for what she did wrong. But in God, he blamed each one for their wrong. He blamed the serpent for what he did wrong and punished him. He blamed the woman for what she did wrong and punished her, and she wants to get out of that. She doesn't even want to have kids. She wants to kill the kids before they come out. Sick. And then he blamed Adam for what he did wrong. Isn't that interesting? But this fake version of Christianity, is it still buffering, guys? Press 3 if it's kind of spotty. Press 2 if it's really bad. Press 1 if it's great. Thank you. Appreciate that feedback. Let me know. But this is really nice, and thank you to Jesse Lee Peterson, another great man, for Men's History Month. Much needed. And thank you very much for White History Month. That's cool. By the way, on Sunday, 9 a.m. U.S. Pacific Daylight Time, you know, I'm no longer streaming. Yeah, it is buffering every now and then, guys. Apologies. We're working on it. We will get it fixed. I have faith, you know. But on Sunday, by the way, turn on the AC and open the vent. I don't want to call it the other word. Make sure that the vent is open, though, for sure. I think it is. Samuel from Sweden. Very nice show, Samuel. Appreciate that. People are saying it's bad. Some people are saying 3. Yeah, but some people are saying it's 2, guys, just so you know. And I don't know if there's anything to be done. Hopefully Bill's working on it. Someone get Bill. There is a beautiful sticker by Bub's Love, I think, where it was really bad a month or so ago. And I'm like, someone get Bill. And then... But anyways, that's over on D Live. Thank you, guys. Very laggy, says Willie Palomino. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Apologies. You can go to TalkStream Live, and that may help. TalkStreamLive.com, and then find my show on audio feed. That may work. Bob, Bob says, hey, Hake, are you still doing air quotes like Jesse? Bob, I was doing air quotes before I ever knew Jesse. So, in your face. But, yeah, people accuse everything I do of being like Jesse. Sometimes Jesse copies me, you know. Anyways. Now he's looking at me funny. Anyways, guys. Thank you for Men's History Month. Right on to Samuel Freiholtz. Check it out. I shared it on my YouTube feed. The AC is helping. It is looking good. So, you know, when I was growing up, there were men that I respected. I loved the the Knight Rider guy, David Hasselhoff. He's kind of become a bit of a joke now. Or 10 or 15 years ago when people knew about him, he was like a joke. But, I don't know. Is he a man? Do people even know about him anymore? He got into Baywatch, and I'm like, oh, man. But he was an honorable man. Back when I was a kid growing up, I loved Rocky. I loved those guys from that beautiful movie, A Running Movie. My dad showed it to me. My dad was another great guy that I admired. It was, what's that movie? Chariots of Fire. What are you looking at me for? Fix my stream. Throwing off my thing. Chariots of Fire. You guys ever seen Chariots of Fire? When I was watching these movies as a kid and reading these comic books and all that stuff, they were like respectable men that would stand on principle, and they were great at what they did. They worked hard at what they did. They would like practically kill themselves doing their best. Hake's body heat was messing with the stream. And there was this one scene in this movie called Chariots of Fire, and some of you guys may not remember it because it did come out in, 79 or 81 or something like that when I was born. But my father showed it to me, showed this movie to the family. And it's based on a true story from the Olympics of 100 years ago or something like that. And this great guy named Eric Liddell, who was a Scottish runner, fast runner. And I think it was Eric Liddell or one of the other guys. There was this other guy named Abraham or something like that. One time he fell he got jostled and he fell when he was running around the track versus these other guys. And he got up and he caught up to them. And after he finished the race, he won the race or something. But it was crazy. And then he was on the ground, breathing all hard. And he was breathing real hard. And that was an inspiring moment to see these guys put in everything into what they were doing. And so that's something that seems like it's they do an imitation of that now. And actually, maybe even that stuff at that point was an imitation. I think there's been a long decline and we didn't notice. And now it's getting more and more and more obvious, the loss of men. And so, people think that the 50s were the perfect time, but something wasn't right because the 50s gave birth to the 60s or was part of what led up to the 60s. And the 60s was total degeneracy, and it's been a downhill thing ever since. The 60s to the 70s, which was homosexual decade, I think. And that's, by the way, that was the running movement came out with that too. And then the 80s with the crazy crack epidemic and violence and the acceptance of outright F the police type of culture with the blacks, at least. And then this rebellious white kids. The 90s was pretty pathetic. The 2000s was even more pathetic. And the 20-teens was even more pathetic. And now we're in the 2020s. And there's some people waking up, but it's really bad. Think about how far we've fallen just in my lifetime. Those of you who are old enough to know about that, or even young enough but have read stuff, just know that homosexuality wasn't accepted on a wide scale. Now it's being pushed outright. It's sick. People breaking up via text. Oh, man. Just cowardice rules the day. So I love Men's History Month. I was watching this podcast of these two males, and they're really respected males right now in these times. Well, one of them is very popular, right? I don't know how respected he is. He's a rapper, white guy. I think he's living in Utah. Tattoos all over his face. The tattoos have proliferated. I saw a picture of him in 2016 and he had no tattoos. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he had some tattoos, but it wasn't all over his face and everywhere. But I think he's a white guy and he has all this tattoos and smoking like crazy, smoking pot as in doing drugs. He's talking about microdosing. You may have heard on The Fallen State, this woman was quote unquote microdosing mushrooms. A young imitation white woman. I think she was Jewish. She was half Jewish at least. So that doesn't count. She grew up in a totally different culture, right? But the white Christians are lost too. And this other guy who was interviewing him, people really respect him because in a worldly sense, he's very successful, works a lot, has a very popular podcast, and he's a comedian, and he's hosts shows and does color commentary on fights and all this stuff. And I'm looking at them, each smoking pot or whatever they're smoking, who knows what, and talking about doing drugs and being creative. And then it's funny because they're talking about how back in the day, there were men who would get on a boat and travel across the sea just exploring, not knowing what they're going to get in, not knowing what they're going to run into. Referring to Christopher Columbus and Amerigo Vespucci or whatever his name is, and all these explorers and the men of old. And then they're looking like so small, you know? Yes, in a sense, they're very popular and they're very skilled at some of what they do, but no character. A couple of liberals, males, grown males being liberals. And it's not like they haven't, well, at least the interviewer guy, it's not like he hasn't been exposed to the right ideas. That's why education and knowledge is not the solution to rebuilding men, right? And, you know, I like some of what he says, this guy. I'm referring to this man named Joe Rogan interviewed Post Malone. I've heard some positive things that Joe Rogan has said, like no excuse type of mentality. That's cool. I respect that, but he's still liberal. And there's setting a bad example. Imagine back in the day, people smoking pot on TV doing interviews. That wouldn't happen. Well, what a mess. So we need to return to the old school. And that's why I'm glad that Trump is president right now. And that's why I'm glad he's fighting, and he seems like he's fighting to win. I know you can say, what's happened? What happened with whatever? How come he hasn't done this or that? But every time I hear him talk, he's fighting to win. You know, he has a bad team, and that's not an excuse either. Shame on him, I guess, for having a bad team. But he does have a revolving door, which is a credit to him, I think. And so, you know, I have this, I'm going to talk about this sick male. A really sick male who has long died, but yesterday would have been his 96th birthday. And a whole bunch of the scum of the earth were honoring him. I have some clips to play of him, some pictures, a ton of pictures, actually. And you guys can just show them generally when I get to this story. But first, let me get to some calls. Thank you to Jesse Lee Peterson and Dark Side of the Bear What for hosting the Hake Report. Appreciate you guys. And, you know, I know that you guys, some of you, I don't know if anybody who's complaining is watching my show, but some of you guys complain about the moderators. There was this person who tagged me in an Instagram post, and I'm not all that active on Instagram. I'm a little bit more active. Thank you to my shout out to my intern guy. I don't know if intern is the proper title for him. Oh, there's one guy that's making multiple accounts. You know, some people don't like that we have a female moderator on D-Live. And when I made D-Live, I set up the accounts for Jesse Lee Peterson and then also as well as the Hake Report. And early on, things got kind of active, but we didn't have a lot of people that I knew to trust. And so Dark Side of the Bear What started emailing me screenshots of the super chats and gave me a heads up. Hey, there's pornographic stickers going through. Stickers being pictures, right? Little pictures in the chat. And your mods are missing them because I only had like a couple of mods. Super Dave had his hands full and he wasn't always able to be there, and some others. And so I modded her, Dark Side of the Bear What? And I don't see any reason to unmod her. I'm not against doing it in the future if Noah's Arkansas or somebody like that. Noah's Arkansas I consider to be a good judge of character. Says, you know, we don't need her to be moderating anymore. and I'm sure she wouldn't take it personally, but whatever. Most of you guys this stuff is being like petty. Going on Instagram to complain about the moderators, saying, this female moderator ruined Jesse's show for me. Maybe you shouldn't be in the chat if you're having the show be ruined. Are you an adult? Like, I couldn't even see a kid doing this, much less a male. You know what I mean? It seems very petty. So, I'm not inclined to change stuff around. And then there's this other guy who's really he's very edgy, right, for the chat? Or very aggressive, I guess. And he's always getting himself banned from everywhere, right? And then he emails me saying, well, you're such a beta, you have a female moderator. I thought you're not supposed to have women in leadership or something like that. I don't consider moderating a leadership position. Normally I would have preferred a male, but I'm not going to change it for petty complainers. So somebody sane lets me know an issue, then I'll change stuff. But if not, I'll leave it alone. Even Brandon Johnson says dark side rules. I don't know if that's if he means that as a positive thing. Anyways, I like the internet drama a little bit. So let me quickly get to some calls. Oh, you know what? Let me just double check for super chats. Thank you to Beard the Butcher and Mike. Congratulations to Mike Holland for the subscription. Appreciate the support on D Live. And let me just double check Streamlabs while I get to Marty out of Kansas City, Missouri. Marty, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good, man. I've been hanging on for quite a while. I've been listening.
Appreciate it.
I've been listening to these freaking pit bulls over here. I can't even believe they're freaking barking because I didn't think pit bulls bark, but these pit bulls bark like crazy, and they freaking they're nuts.
It's Men's History Month. They're supposed to bark. I remember Men's History Month last year. Joel used the drop when it was after Jesse would say manhood. He would do this drop that said, "Roo, roo." yeah, man. These freaking these pit bulls, there ain't no joke, man. They start off as little puppies and they're all sweet and easy to control, and then the next thing you know, man, they get to like this teenage stage and you can't freaking even control them, man. They're like brutal, man. They move so hard that you can't even pet them. I mean, they're strong. You know, I had a neighbor. I was living in a guest house for several years, and I had my neighbor who was in the front house, the main house, and his dog was in the backyard behind my guest house thing, which was attached to his garage. And he had a boxer pit bull, and that thing was strong. But it was much calmer because they had him neutered, which to me is kind of sad, but he was much more under control because he was wild and rough, and he would very aggressive. But you neuter that dog, and it acts a little more domesticated. Relationships and marriage, you know, they're pushing diversity so bad, and they're pushing interracial relationships like crazy. And I just have a kind of almost an instinctual resistance to anything that is pushed as being trendy, such as, you know, you go on these social media sites and they push Black Lives Matter and homosexuality and stuff like that. You see that, right? And you see in the commercials and stuff, they're pushing these interracial relationships and acting like that's going to heal. Some are acting like that's going to heal the world, or you know, there's white guys that think that non-Western women are going to be more subservient or whatever, or traditional. And to me, that is running away from home because you can't take the heat at home. You know what I mean? And so in that sense, we are born like in this physical body, and in this life, this physical body, it has some relevance, right? And it gets into, in Satan's world, which this kind of is Satan's world, it gets into people's minds. It plays with their minds, though. And it's important to point out how different, in this sense, it's not important, but it is important to not run away from it.
So it's not important, or it's important.
It's, I don't know. It's like a
You
weird
don't know.
question. I don't know. I don't know, but let me finish my point about the sense
Okay.
that it's
All right.
not
Okay.
that it's at once not important and at the same time very important to point out. Because there's this there's something that's a phenomenon in which, for example, blacks get brainwashed to believe in this racism thing. They're taught it by the academics, by their parents in most cases, I dare say, by the preachers, by the politicians, by the mainstream media, by social media. They can't even get away from it for the most part, right? That they're victims and all that stuff. And whites can't get away from being accused of being the victimizers and all that stuff. And then the other POCs, so-called POCs, right? Which, you know, some blacks resent that, that anybody's called a person of color other than whites. They want to be the only POCs. But the Hispanics and the Asians and the other foreigners from like the Middle East and India and elsewhere, I guess India is Asian. They fall into this stuff where they have this this identity, this false identity with their race, and this false idea of victimhood, or this false idea of whatever. This lie against whites in particular is very common, and this lie against America. You have to be able to point out that a huge number of this such and such race are suckers, and you have to be able to point that out. And so it's important to be able to name the race, because those are the people that have been stuck in this phenomenon of false victimhood and falling to lies. So it is important in that sense.
You know what amazes me is that when I hear people that are comparing behavior with race, when they say that they equivalate homosexuality with black, and they say that they're comparing their behavior as being a homosexual as being a black person. And I'm
you're talking about the victim group of homosexuals to the victim group of blacks?
Yeah,
you're talking about them calling it a civil rights struggle or whatever?
Yeah, and I'm like, if I was a black dude, I'd be pissed. I'd be mad as hell at that. But
in all honesty, you should call it out as evil no matter who you are. Because it's a lie.
Yeah.
And in fact, like, the blacks aren't even that much of victims. Even back then, I don't think they were that much of victims. It was just a big propaganda campaign.
But you're born black.
Yeah.
You're not born gay.
Right. But
So,
I mean, and the homosexuality is wrong.
Exactly. But
right.
what I'm saying,
and then the blacks are being persecuted many times because they have done wrong, or else there too many people who look like them have done wrong, and so they're suffering a little extra scrutiny, which is not really that much suffering, honestly, but some people pretend that it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, but I mean, so do you have a lot of pit bulls in your neighborhood?
No. There's just nice people with nice little dogs, and some with kids, maybe not enough.
They have. Oh, so there's some people that live in your neighborhood that have kids,
Oh yeah.
and they walk their kids around like little dogs. Do they put leashes on their kids?
No, I haven't seen too much of that, man.
Really?
Anyways,
Okay.
Marty, nice to hear from you.
All right, man. It was good talking to you, man.
Right on. Take care.
Oh, and KFC 11 herbs and spices and coleslaw is great. You don't have to worry about being shot, and the bathrooms are clean.
I don't like mayo.
Yeah, I think you told me that before.
Yeah.
I don't. I mean,
Mayo is disgusting.
But it's made out of eggs.
That
You don't
doesn't
like eggs, like chicken eggs?
I like scrambled eggs, and it has to be not. It can be undercooked. This is gross.
Oh, dude, you're like you know what? I ain't gonna say the word because I can't say it, but you're like a little bee because they're like people that are like that are like, come on, man. Beta.
I know. I appreciate it, Marty. Thanks, man. Good to hear from
man.
you.
I'll
Take
talk
care.
at you later, dude.
All right. Let me quickly get to Art in Ohio. I haven't heard from Art in a little bit. Art, it's good to hear from you. What's up?
Hey, man, what's up with you? Hey, man.
Nothing. How about you?
Man, I was just sitting there. I'm all right. I'm sitting here watching you and stuff, and the only thing I can think is, let me turn my little beta voice on real quick. Over the river and through the woods to Maze's house, Hake goes. You got what my lovely skin you have this evening, Hake.
You talking about me glowing?
Yeah, man. What Maze been cooking you them Earl's dinners or something?
You know what's funny is I used to put on I put sunblock on, but not too much.
Do you?
But I think it's that and that's like at 5 a.m. And so
Man,
it's
hey,
4 hours later. But I think the main thing is it's like warm enough in here to make me sweat, and I don't put any powder. Maybe I should use powder to kill that shine.
He said maybe I should use powder. Nah, but so check this out, man. So look, man,
Not really.
I got a story. I got a good story for you, buddy.
Okay, go for it.
So look, man, I just ran. I can't help it. I'm full of alpha and masculine energy. I can't help it, man. But I think I ran my beta friend off. So here's the story. So long story short, I said we got on a conversation about Black Lives Matter. Keep in mind, I'm a black dude. He's a white dude. So we got into the conversation about Black Lives Matter.
And this is a friend of yours, or was a friend of yours?
Yeah. Yeah, it was associate. I'm very light on the friend.
right.
I really go by associate. Long story short, so we get on the conversation about the Black Lives Matter little subject. I'm like, well, that BAM allegedly so-called started by George Soros or whatnot, and it's founded by fat black lesbians.
Right.
So bam, boom. So I told him like that already is a red flag for me, and that shows me a sign that something morally ain't right because you got females leading and they lesbians. So that's already a sign to me that something ain't right. So I said my first problem is me being a Negro is that you want to tell me that their propaganda, their motto and their credo is that we want to break up the families. That's their first one, and then
Right.
Get Trump out of office. And I said, first of all, neither one of those have nothing to do with anything going on that it's affected me.
Right.
So first of all, he didn't never address that situation. Then he turns around and goes into his beta mode where he's talking about, well, and keep in mind, he's like 15, 20 years older than me, Caucasian white guy. So he's like, well, I think that more so that Black Lives Matter is doing a lot of this because they're seeing the injustice where black people weren't able to buy houses back in the day. Basically, trying to say that he see the injustice in that, and that's why they started. So I'm like, well, what does that have to do with me saying that Black Lives Matter is negative, and it doesn't help or do anything for really Negro people? Is this a communist started by communists?
I know.
And something to tear. So long story short, that was the first thing. Then I'm gonna get on to this one. He goes to ask me, you have a problem with trannies reading to kids in schools.
He said it like that?
Yeah, I'm trying to. But no, this is what he said. I'm gonna tell you exactly what he said, man. Word for word. He said, But this is coming from the guy who says he has a problems with gays teaching or trannies teaching and reading to his kids. I said, no, that ain't what I said. I said, I do have a problem with trannies reading to kids when they reading to kids and they got, and their testicles are hanging out of their pants, and the kids is sitting there trying to figure out why mommy and daddy got a man dressed up like a female reading to me. So the whole time that you allegedly reading to the kid, he's not taking in any of the story. He's in there looking at the people trying to figure out what the heck is going on. Am I at a circus show? Because kids, they're sponges and they go off of visuals. Even grown people go off of visuals. So what do you make you think that the kid ain't gonna just only go off visuals? So they're not even taking in. Long story short, man, this dude is long story short about the whole little tranny. Only thing I was trying to tell him, yeah, I do have a problem with it because me going through the situations with the courts that I'm going through, the people don't even let me, as a biological father that cares about my kid, even give me a chance to even read to my kid. You break me up and rip me out of the home, rip me out of the home, and then next thing you want to know, you talking about bringing a tranny in to read to somebody's kids. You don't even give me the chance to even do that. And you want me to give my kid to some weirdo that got a mental problem and let him read to him and have my kid all confused. So long story short,
that's the female mindset, though. They'll surrender. Yeah. They'll surrender away from what's right into what's wrong. That's what I mean by the word "cuck." And that sounds like that's what your friend is, your associate.
That's exactly what it is. Then he tried to make it seem like I got a problem with gays or trannies. Or no, what I have a problem is, and the news does a lot of this too, is, and the teachers do too. No, y'all don't go in there and teach the curriculum 1 + 1 is 2. Y'all going in here and forcing y'all's opinion on these kids, not giving them the chance to figure out, giving them the option to leave the kids. Do they want to go left or right? Y'all forcing them to go left, and y'all being biased. So therefore, y'all program instead. Y'all teaching what's the facts. Y'all in there teaching off of feelings.
Right.
And that's what
it's really bad right now.
With.
It's crazy. Yeah. I appreciate it, Art. Thank you, man.
Hey,
good luck to you.
It's like two more things. One more thing, and I'm done with you, and I'm getting off. One more thing. I promise. I'm going.
All right.
Okay. So remember, you told me last time I talked to you. You said you should not fight for your kids. You should give it up because the course ain't for you. Well, my question is to you and Jesse or whatnot, because I listen to y'all and I agree with mostly everything y'all say is. Well, wonder if my ancestors who was stuck on the plantation, who was getting whipped over the back at the time, just gave up and just said, well, we ain't going to go to the Underground Railroad. We just going to stay here and get whipped on the back, and we ain't going to try to free ourselves from the slave masters. We would still be on the plantation. So therefore, I say to you, I can't give up because me as being a Negro person, I have to stand up and fight because this is prophesized in. This is part of what we had. We can't never give up. If we'd have gave up, if I'd have gave up back then, I would still be on the plantation. So I look at my kids.
That's not true though, because if you hadn't gone on the Underground Railroad, did the Underground Railroad have anything to do with the Civil War? No, that's not. The Underground Railroad is not what freed you guys, and your ancestors. No, and Art. Hold on.
Sorry, I'm listening.
Let me explain. Giving up a dumb court battle that's just a waste of money is not giving up. Committing yourself to what's right and getting past, all your weaknesses, anger and fear and all the things that are actually holding you back in life, that are part of your own character flaws. That's what you're not supposed to give up on. You're not supposed to give up on overcoming. But this thing that's this worldly fight with in court for your kid when you already know that the court system is corrupt, that's not the fight that you're not supposed to give up on. You may be involved in the wrong fight, and it sounds like you have a flawed mindset, a flawed reasoning right now, because the slaves didn't have to go into the Underground Railroad to become freed. You would not still be freed today, or you would not still be enslaved today had the Underground Railroad not happened. Okay. And on top of that, I heard that the slavery was going away anyways, right? Wasn't it on the decline? I don't know. But anyways.
Well, I'm more so when I say the underground. I'm just.
But
more
the
so
point is,
staying with
the point
it.
is, giving up on a dumb court battle is not giving up on life or giving up on your son. You have to fix yourself, not fight these worldly battles as much.
Well, I understand that. I'm more so.
So it's not. So my point is, it's not right or wrong to fight or quit a court battle.
Well,
It depends on the situation. So you have to know for yourself, and you don't need my blessing nor Jesse's blessing nor our approval or disapproval on it. You have to know for yourself whether it's right. But it sounds like you're thinking that it's part of your ancestral struggle or something like that for what's right, and it sounds like you have the wrong idea.
Well, no, I'm more so just saying that if we gave up a fight, then you know this as far as.
But there are fights that you have to pick your battles, man. There are fights that you don't fight.
Well,
there's potential for fights all the time, and you don't always strike. There's times to hold back. So I'm not saying that you should quit because I don't know your situation. And you said that there's other stuff happening too. But if you're blowing all your money over a kid who's already going to be destroyed by the mother regardless, and make it hell for you even if she wins in court, and then you'll still have the system against men and the father and the children, honestly, then you go back and listen to Jesse's... Nick, do you have a clip of that where Jesse tells this advice? Go back and catch this clip, email me, and then I'll send it to you, where Jesse tells the people that he doesn't recommend people do these long, expensive court battles for their children when the children are already going to get ruined by the wife anyways. It was a great monologue, so Nick will find it. All right, but you get what my point is? Pick your battles.
I'm getting what you're saying as far as picking your battles, but what battles do you? When do you hold them and fold them?
You got
that's my thing.
Know when to hold them.
That, yeah,
I like that reference. Art. This is, man. You need to call Jesse for counseling, honestly. But this is why but honestly, you don't even need counseling. Are you praying? Are you doing the silent? Oh, yeah, you said that you pray, but you don't do the silent prayer.
Yeah, I pray, yeah.
But you don't do the silent prayer?
Well, yeah, I pray.
Then you have to, you can't figure it out. You have to, know, you have to have insight.
Well, and that's
you have to be led by God, not by figuring it out. Because you'll drive yourself nuts figuring stuff out and considering all the possibilities and stuff. That's living in your imagination. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the thing that I don't think that you might not understand about it is that I'm not willing to give my kid over to Satan. So
well, you already did.
That's not.
You already did though. Don't you see, Art? The kid already has. Satan already has the kid.
Well, I understand that, but it's never too late. And
that's why you fix yourself and you know when to when and where and how to fight.
Yeah, well, I feel like that's almost a beta mentality to give up on something that you're supposed to be fighting for. You posted that that's why I was referring back to.
But you don't know it sounds like you don't know that you're supposed to be fighting this. It sounds like you're even doubting yourself.
How I know I'm supposed to be fighting it is because they're using the same tactics, which is oppressing, trying to hold you on the plantation, not giving you the freedom of will. I know, but listen, Art,
if you were hold on, Art, let me just break it down very simply. If you were confident and you knew that this was the fight that you were supposed to be fighting, you wouldn't be questioning. You wouldn't be saying, "Hey, James and Jesse, I really respect your guys' thing," and you wouldn't have any doubt about it. You wouldn't even need our input.
I'm not questioning it. What I'm saying is I disagree.
But you're fighting with me over it when I'm just giving you some common sense advice, just about, just in general. and you still feel the need to defend it.
No. Initially, when I was asking
Have you found
you,
it,
that's
Nick?
why I was asking. Initially, when I was asking you, hey, no, I was asking you this. The whole question I was asking you was, what's the difference between that and this? That's why the whole point of me asking. I went because I feel like they the same difference.
I don't know. You lost me. It was not a church clip.
No, I'm talking about as far.
It might have been a call. I'm just explaining to Nick what it was. It might have been
No,
after a
you
call, or it might have been before a call, or a mixture. It might have been a monologue. He may have said it a few times. But anyways, the point is, it's not. The point is, like, you don't even have to hear Jesse. Just you should have the insight to know what battles to fight and what ones not to.
Yeah. Well, you know. You agree? You and Jesse be right about a lot. I just disagree on that or whatnot, and I'm able to, and that's why I listen.
All right, but it just doesn't sound like you're confident. But all right.
Well, you know, I mean, you can't be too confident when you know that you're dealing with Satan in his playground at the court. So, I mean,
sure you can.
I might not be the most confident or what.
I think you can. I think you can be confident.
I mean, well, I'm not gonna say that I am. I'm not gonna say I'm not, because I'm not confident, because I know where I'm going into battle at. So I ain't gonna lie, I'm not. You know what I mean? But that don't mean that's going to deter me. You see what I'm saying?
All right, I appreciate it. All right, good luck, man.
Yes, sir. You go ahead and have a nice evening, man. I appreciate the convo.
Okay, take care.
Yes, sir.
So we are already at the top of the hour, and guys, it's been. Oh, you know what? Let me take a quick break, just like a 2-3 minute break. It is 10:01 a.m. I'll be right back. I'm going to be talking about this guy he's a black dude, was a black dude, now he's dead. And Sunday was his so-called birthday, although why are they celebrating that as a dead man? But okay, here's the title of the clip. This is for Art and all of you guys. It's titled JLP, and it has that separator thing. And it says, "Don't make anything too important, not even your kids. Don't make anything too important, not even your kids." And I don't know his story. I don't know whether he had sex out of wedlock, or or if it was a crazy divorce or a separation or what. But don't make anything too important, not even your kids, because say you save your money, you become successful, and then the kid turns 18 and he's all ruined and he thinks he hates you, and then he comes back and then he finds out that you're actually a solid man that he can respect. Isn't that more? And then he's quote unquote red pilled. He wakes up out of his delusion of false hatred for you, which is from his mother and the courts. Yeah, let's take a quick break. I'll be back in just a sec. Hang tight, guys. So, what's up, guys? I am James Hake. This is the beginning of hour 2, 10:06 a.m. here in Los Angeles. And by the way, let me read. I got some texts. And one of them was about Samuel's video yesterday. I shared it on my channel and on my Twitter. Follow me on Twitter, at James Anton Hake, and at the Hake Report. Take your pick. A faithful, long-time supporter and listener said about Samuel Freiholtz's first stream, which took place before church in my old time slot, Sunday 9 a.m. Pacific time. I guess it's 6 p.m. Swedish time. She said, I am watching Samuel's video. I like him a lot. Such a clean-cut person. Nice, huh? Right on, Samuel. That's cool. And by the way, he got a Cameo shout-out from Jesse Lee Peterson. You can get yours too, cameo.com/Jesse Lee Peterson. Or if you're not sure, if you can't remember that for some reason, go to rebuildingtheman.com/store or /stores and scroll down. You'll see the link there too, as well as the Patreon stuff and all that. And we may be adding a new platform too, a new alternative to Patreon. Or Subscribestar. Subscribestar is pretty good. They're free speech friendly. Not that I'm against you guys supporting on Patreon. That's cool. Although I told you guys about an attack on them from the Bears. And I heard that Lauren Southern may be filing a lawsuit or has filed a lawsuit or is trying to do that. Interesting. You know, and in reference to my friend and yours, our friend, Art from Ohio, Baba Goju guy sent a text, and he said, "You lost that battle when you had sex with a woman outside marriage." Is that true, Art? Did you do that? I don't know. Now you're trying to undo the fact that you had sex outside of marriage, if you did indeed do that, by fighting this woman whom you gave all the power to in court. Do not try to repair what you screwed up. There is no undoing a scrambled egg. Yeah, and it'll turn out, although they mean it for evil, it can be turned around for good. You'll notice, for example, YouTube is preventing Jesse Lee Peterson from live streaming on the platform currently. But that came out for good because more people are finding Lee Peterson on dlive.tv/Jesse Lee Peterson and supporting him there. It's cool. It's a positive thing. It's good. The Bible says in the book of James, consider it pure joy when you face trials of many kinds. The testing of your faith produces, and you don't necessarily have to endure blowing a lot of money in a corrupt court system, although maybe there's a time to do it. So you got to know for yourself when to fold them and when to hold them. When to walk away and when to run or fight or whatever the line is. That guy died recently. The guy who made that. What was his name? Kenny Rogers. Kenny Rogers Roasters. He used to have a chicken show. Is the stream spotty, guys? Let me know how it is. Let me know. On my end, I am usually when I'm, oh man, what the heck? We just totally went offline. Man. Someone get Bill. What's up to YouTube? What's up to Periscope? Yet another stream. What's up to Twitch? What's up to Facebook? D-Live, we're trying to connect. Yes, we are back on D-Live, guys. We broke again. Nick says, what the heck? Press F for discrimination. For failure. Anyways, we are back on stream at least on Facebook, Periscope, YouTube, D-Live. Don't know what's going on, but we're working on something that's making it worse currently, but in the end, it'll be so much better. So please bear with us, right? Am I right? If I were Jesse Lee Peterson, I would probably have walked off by now. But I am not a full-grown man yet, I guess. Anyways, I gotta show you guys. Press 1 if the stream is great now. Press 2 if it's awful. Press 3 if it's hit and miss. But in the meantime, I don't have time to wait. I got to tell you guys. Yes, The Gambler. Beautiful song. Beautiful song. Stream buffering for many of you guys. Apologies. Stream's been buffering a lot. Buffering. The stream is awful, says Beta Bootcamp. Yes, very laggy, says Willie. And these are trustworthy people. These are not trolls or liars that I know of. They are friends. Get Boo! Boo! You're back. It's spotty, but DLive has been like that for a few days. Yeah, DLive itself has had issues. It's good for me, Hake, says Brandon Johnson. Okay, we're back. Enough. But it is lagging and buffering and stuff. He is here working on it. So, this man, James Baldwin. James Baldwin, many of you guys may have heard of him, is a sick male. I have many tweets and, screenshots of tweets, and I'm not going to necessarily reference any specific one. I'm going to reference some specific videos, clips of him, so that you're kind of acquainted, because these guys reference him like he's a trustworthy person, and he's not. He is dead now. Sunday would have been his... Stand by, guys. Stand by. Stand by. That's for me? Okay. Stand by, guys. Because we're fixing the stream. We're going to do something tricky?
No, not stop. I'm just saying.
Oh, okay. Stand by for a fixed stream. By the way, you guys can't call in. Some of you guys are on hold, and I will get to you. 888-775-3773. But I have many pictures of this guy, and the engineers, the board operators, they can just generally just put whatever pictures up that they want of this guy, as just kind of go through their I give him tons. But Sunday would have been his birthday. He's dead. He was an imitation of a man, not a real man, but at all. Oh my gosh. He was quite, I dare say, flamboyant. Loved, quote unquote, by the left. And I put that in quotes because the left doesn't have love for anyone. Not this guy, not each other, not themselves. They're sick people, the left. And most of the right, true. And this guy, too, was a sick person. James Baldwin. He was a black guy. He lived 60-some years, maybe 63 years. Not an honorable man. Not. Based on what he was saying, out of the overflow of the heart, the mouth speaks, and he did not speak good things. True things. He had flashy fashion. People liked him for that. He would have been 96 had he been alive. I have tweets. Black Lives Matter. You know, the far left organization, Black Lives Matter, they hate whites, they hate cops, they hate America, they hate straight men. They shared a meme, a quote meme, attributed to James Baldwin with the hashtag Black August. Wrong, it's Men's History Month August. But they tweeted, quote, this is supposedly a quote of James Baldwin. I imagine one of the reasons people cling to their hates so stubbornly is because they sense once the hate is gone, they will be forced to deal with pain. So he thinks that they cover up their pain with hatred. And that's his imagination. That's what he imagines, according to Black Lives Matter. And then they have his apparent lifespan, 1924 to 1987. That's pretty rich, huh, for Black Lives Matter. And this guy, I believe, was, I don't know if he was openly homosexual. Was he openly homosexual? No? Oh, really? Oh, you don't know. Okay. I think he was. Pretty rich, huh, for Black Lives Matter to to share this, referring to other people as hateful when they're the ones who are full of hatred. This black guy, Jelani Cobb, who would not come on the Jesse Lee Peterson show when I was producer of the Jesse's show, although he may have been on in the past before I was producer. He tweeted, "Today is James Baldwin's 96th birthday." No, it's not. He's not 96. He's dead. To celebrate, let's make a thread of his quotes. I'll start. The black man, this is a quote from James Baldwin from Jelani Cobb. The black man has functioned in the white man's world as a fixed star. What does he mean by that? As an immovable pillar, which is not true. And as he moves out of his place, heaven and earth are shaken to their foundations. I guess he's talking about with the civil rights movement moving, these black men protesting, for so-called civil rights. But that's pretty rich. Black males have gone off the deep end. They're hardly immovable. What does that even mean? They're quite movable. They moved them right on out of the home, right on out of marriages, right on out of morality, right on out of their suits and ties. Now they dress up as if they're like 15 years old when they're like 50 sometimes. Another guy, an Army veteran and a father of 3. So this would mean that he should know better. Tweeted a quote that I've heard before, and you may have heard before. Might be one of his most famous quotes. It is certain, in any case, that ignorance. This is a quote from James Baldwin. No relation to Hake. That I know of. That ignorance, allied with power, is the most ferocious enemy of justice that justice can have. Ignorance allied with power is the most ferocious enemy that justice can have, which is a lie. And the Bernie's King also tweeted that same dumb quote. It's a lie because it's not just that the blacks are ignorant, and that's why they fight against justice. Black Lives Matter. Yes, they are ignorant. They don't know that what's right in front of their noses, right? Their blindness. There's blindness more than ignorance. Because it doesn't take a whole lot of knowledge to see reality. That blacks are bringing this destruction on themselves. That the supposed victimhood at the hands of whites and cops is not the main issue. Not even a real issue. Yes, that is ignorance, but it's actually lies. And they're fighting for power. So it's not that is an enemy of justice. And you could also say weakness. The weakness of white men and men in general is very much of an enemy of justice. Because this female-minded liberal stuff that is being pushed in the black community and in the whites in America lately is anti-justice. They pretend it's for real justice. Sean King has this pack. Sean King being a Black Lives Matter supporter I guess he's mostly white, I don't know. But he is a radical, disgusting Black Lives Matter supporter. Father of 4. Maybe interracially married. I don't know if he's part black. Some people say he's not black at all. But this guy, he's a sick person. He's an enemy of justice. But the weakness of the people in not throwing out such a failure of a person, such an evil person, is also an enemy of justice. This weakness, this cowardice, this kissing up, people-pleasing. Those are things that are an enemy of justice. This woman, or man, I guess, male, Franklin Leonard, tweeted a quote. He tweeted some quote, right? And the quote didn't make enough sense for me to share it with you. But then he got all mad with a woman who said, "Today is his birthday." And he's all, "Why do you think I quoted it?" It's this guy with these long dreadlocks. He looks like... There's this guy named L.Z. Granderson, who I think is homosexual. And I wouldn't say that if I wasn't quite sure that he is homosexual. And he's another guy that's like total female, total I don't even know the word without saying the bad word that Jesse likes to say, but he doesn't consider it a bad word. But I don't feel right saying it. Anyways, I have more pictures of him, of this guy. Oh, yeah, there it is. And then Kathy J is like, I have quoted him when it wasn't his birthday. I have no idea what your thought process was. Because this guy, Franklin Leonard, with his long hair, you can barely see the long hair in the inside of his profile pic, but he does have this long African braids type hair, which are also known as dreadlocks or whatever. Yeah, I called him a jerk, just like his mom. Oh yeah, the man that he quoted. So Penguin Books, Penguin UK Books, bunch of book publishers honored this guy. Blue checkmark liberals honored this guy. Afro-punk Eric Darnell is a pro-gay guy. So shallow, too, because he had style and fashion. New Yorker shared a really girly picture of him. Blue checkmark female Maria Popova, with approaching 1 million followers, tweeted about him. Apparently, he worked hard on writing. Look at that picture of him. This is from the New Yorker, and he just looks homosexual. I'm quite sure that he was. I wouldn't be saying this, because I think I read that he was out. He was brazenly, not just radical, but he was radical homosexual. I didn't look up his Wikipedia recently. Christian hater Danica London shared pictures of him. Extreme left Jacobin magazine, they're brazenly far left, called him a radical, pretending that's a good thing. Haymarket Books shared a picture of him. Anti-Racist Baby author. You ever heard of Anti-Racist Baby? That's an actual children's book by this black guy with long braids hair thing, I think. Dr. Ibram. He tweeted, Americans are facing racism, but will we change it? And I'm like, dude, change yourselves. You need to change yourselves. Vox.com, which is another far-left outlet, said, in 2020, James Baldwin's conception of America seems piercingly relevant. And they tweeted an article talking about James Baldwin's faith in America. That's the wrong kind of faith. But in a sense, they're not wrong, because his faith was that we will become a female-minded liberal country like he was. A female-minded liberal male. Look at him, he looked rough. Who do you think is older? Him at that point of being that picture, or Jesse Lee Peterson? I'll give you a hint. Jesse Lee Peterson is already old than this guy. He only lived to 63 or so. So, yeah. Talk about an aged person. The Zinn Project. The Zinn Ed Project. As in the fake history communist Howard Zinn, who I don't know if he's still living. They tweeted about him. Of course, it makes total sense. The Zinn Project, Howard Zinn wrote this, A People's History of the United States. And a people's, he really means a communist version, which is a lie. It's kind of like the 1619 Project. Yeah, they tweeted about him. So it shows you the type of person that this guy is. They tweet that America was built on slavery and genocide and it's racist. Fake. This guy was like an atheist. I don't think that he was a Christian. Pretty sure not. Not even a fake so-called progressive Christian, which is the same thing as a communist. I have a few clips for him of this guy. 11A in this clip. He recounts how he hates Christians and whites. He's like talking about how he... Listen to his reasoning and tell me if it makes any sense to you. Listen to this.
I don't know what most white people in this country feel, but I can only include what they feel from the state of their institutions. I don't know if white Christians hate Negroes or not, but I know that we have a Christian church which is white and a Christian church which is black. I know, as Malcolm X once put it, that the most segregated hour in American life is high noon on Sunday. That says a great deal for me about a Christian nation. It means that I can't afford to trust most white Christians and certainly cannot trust the Christian church.
See that? What is the point of having, what's the problem with having a so-called segregated churches on Sunday? We have the freedom to do that. I think that blacks were allowed to go to white churches. I don't know, if they wanted to. But no, they wanted their own churches. Today, they certainly can go to their own, they can go to white churches if they want, and a few do, and the white churches kiss up to them like crazy, too. It's nasty. All the POCs. Any, immigrant-type person, they get kissed up to at most white churches, including the so-called conservative ones. So he was not making a good point. How did he conclude he said, I don't know how they feel, but I can conclude how they feel based on what I see. Huh? What a liar. So he's pretending to know what they feel. And he can't trust Christianity? That means that he hates Christianity, or at least the churches, right? He hates the Christian church. And back then, the church wasn't so off the deep end evil. So that's what he means, because he was a unapologetic radical, according to Jacobin magazine. That was this blue checkmark female writer for health equity for Yahoo News shared this video clip of this guy. This was in the middle of his answer to the question, why does everything have to be about color? You're a writer. Why can't you identify with me as a writer? This guy was a white or Jewish guy asking this question. A bunch of people shared this clip. Here's part B where he's complaining about so-called segregation and discrimination. And Nick says this guy looks like Beetlejuice. He doesn't seem exactly straight. I'm quite sure that he was not. Listen to part B here. He's complaining and being anti-American.
I don't know whether the labor unions and their bosses really hate me. That doesn't matter, but I know I'm not in their unions. I don't know if the real estate lobby is anything against black people, but I know the real estate lobbies keep me in the ghetto. I don't know if the Board of Education hates black people, but I know the textbooks they give my children to read and the schools that we have to go to. Now, this is the evidence. You want me to make an act of faith, risking myself, my wife, my woman, my sister, my children, on some idealism which you assure me exists in America, which I have never seen.
I don't think that he was in the ghetto. He has this persona where he pretends that he is all black people throughout history. And he talks about, there's this weird quote where he's talking about, you enslaved me and my people and you killed my children and my... I don't think that this guy has any kids. Or wife. Or did, at least. He talked about this female, tweeted this out. She has a decent following. She's followed by Vosh, which tells you that's the only person that I know who follows this woman. This woman. When any white man in the world says, give me liberty or give me death, the entire white world applauds. When a black man says exactly the same thing, word for word, he's judged a criminal and treated like one. So oppressed, right? Listen to this clip. He's basically he's pretending that blacks don't have the Second Amendment or the same freedoms. Clip 12.
If we were white, if we were Irish, if we were Jewish, if we were Poles, if we had, in fact, in your mind, a frame of reference, our heroes would be your heroes too. Nat Turner would be a hero for you instead of a threat. Malcolm X might still be alive. And everyone is very proud of brave little Israel, a state against which I have nothing. I don't want to be misinterpreted. I'm not an anti-Semite. But, when the Israelis pick up guns, or the Poles, or the Irish, or any white man in the world says, give me liberty or give me death, the entire white world applauds. When a black man says exactly the same thing, word for word, he is judged a criminal and treated like one, and everything possible is done to make an example of this bad nigger so there won't be any more like him.
What a deceiver, huh? You can say the same words, but it's a completely different context. It doesn't mean the same thing, because blacks are already free at this point. And even at his point, look at him. He's being kissed up to being put on these TV shows, and he's acting like, oh, we are just asking to be free. They're already free. He's a deceiver. And he said that Malcolm X might still be alive if, because Malcolm X, I think he advocated for this, for blacks to exercise the Second Amendment to protect themselves against the crazy whites, allegedly crazy whites. Malcolm X was killed by blacks, black radicals, black former Nation of Islam members. And you know who gloated about his death? Louis Farrakhan. And it was so funny. He's like, don't misconstrue me. I'm not an anti-Semite. But he was a Palestine rights guy too. He was all a radical, ridiculous person. But they kiss up to him. Disgusting organization, anti-American organization, the ACLU, tweeted, thank you to him, right? Even though he's dead. They said, thank you, even to a dead man, right? For reminding us that a better America is worth fighting for. By better, they mean communist. They mean evil. They mean, this typical female-minded liberals think that they can improve on real justice, on God's natural order. They push abortion, illegal aliens, letting criminals loose. This man lived until 1987. Did he say a word about abortion? I don't know. Just curious. And they hate true speech, by the way. They're not for actual free speech, the ACLU. Have you heard the ACLU speaking up against the censorship of social media censorship against the conservatives? Trump supporters? No. Trump's the only one who tweets even at least lip service about it. Nobody else in the government, you know, the Republicans pretended like they care. It's fake, though. Here's more victimhood that he pushed. The Southern oligarchy, which has so much power in Washington, was created. Oh, this is the one that's so rich. He's pretending that he was a slave or something. Created by my labor and my sweat, and the violation of my women and the murder of my children. You know, that's that fake commie history that black female slaves were raped, and that's how they got mixed black kids. That's not true. And the murder of my children, what's he talking about? I'm not aware of a whole lot of black kids being murdered in this country, except by other blacks, who are a result of the radicalism that this guy pushed. This in the land of the free and the home of the brave, trying to shame America. And you know, these fake liberals, they act like, oh, I don't hate America. I love America. I love what it can become. So female. And this tweet was from some guy, Phil Lewis, who is the front page editor for Huffington Post. So just the scum of the earth outlet. They pretended like Trump was just entertainment. He wasn't a serious politician. And then he won. And they've only gone down, right? Huffington Post. By the way, James Baldwin, this black guy, who looks a little bit reminiscent of Lori Lightfoot with the bug eyes. Just a side note. He debated William Buckley. Isn't William F. Buckley like one of the neocons? He was not necessarily he was the original maybe. One of the originals anyways. I know that Irving Kristol, the father of Bill Kristol, right? Disgusting guy. I think he's an independent or a Democrat out right now. Hates Trump hater. All these so-called neocons, globalist, socialists, never Trumpers, sick people. William F. Buckley died before Trump came into office, right? He died like a while ago. But, you know, he was kind of respected. He was part of like the so-called rebirth of the conservative movement. Didn't he kind of lead into Reagan coming into vogue and stuff like that? I don't know a lot about this guy, but I haven't seen this debate between Baldwin and William F. Buckley, but it seems to me that this debate was probably a bit lacking in just harsh, cold reality and truth. even back in those times, because look at how they're just letting him smear America. You know, maybe they let him talk and then they replied and shut him down, but I doubt it. This is not Jesse Lee Peterson versus Christopher Hahn, I can tell you that much, on the Chinese station. Some white guy, Ben Phillips, 76, tweeted this bitter clip of him. This is the last clip that I'll play of him, complaining that he's almost 60 and won't live another 60 years, unlike Jesse Lee Peterson, who says that he's going to live forever. And this guy, he looked like hell in this clip. As in, he looked rough. As in, he looked old and haggard and decrepit, and no sense of humor, no life to him, and just bitterness, complaining about the supposed time it takes for your progress. Stupid. Listen to this clip. I spoiled it already.
What is it you wanted me to reconcile myself to? I was born here almost 60 years ago. I'm not going to live another 60 years. You always told me it takes time. It has taken my father's time, my mother's time, my uncle's time, my brother's and my sister's time, my nieces and my nephew's time. How much time do you want for your progress?
He already has freedom in America. Didn't he leave America for a while? I heard that he left America and then he came back, trying to get away. Yeah, drama queen. That's you know he's homosexual. I looked him. I Wikipedia'd him. Let me see. Homo. Yeah. Nasty. Anyways, I don't even want to talk about that part. But a couple of ridiculous, phony politicians tweeted out this video, by the way, about progress. This guy, Charles Booker, who's running for office in Kentucky. Or maybe he took office, I don't know. And then this Jen Perelman, who looks like she's white or a fellow white, as in not white Christian, more like white Jewish, so-called white Jewish, tweeted about it too, like, now is the time. Disgusting. They don't quit, and neither should we. Crazy, huh? Crazy. I got to read a few super chats. I haven't read any of them. Noah's Ark, Kansas, with a few diamonds. Thank you. Arizona lineman. Dark doing great. Keeping the peace. Dark Side of the Bear. What? Yeah, Jib Jab says on streamlabs.com/the Hake Report. Thank you, Jib Jab. Says Shake Ninja / Dark Side of the Bear is a cool cat and she has good discernment. I vote to leave her as mod. White power. Or black power with a white fist. Or whatever. Thank you. Hot Computer Smell says 2 hours. The 2 hours are amazing. Thanks, Hake. Thank you, Hot Computer Smell. By the way, thanks for the, I don't know if you've emailed me about the t-shirt idea for the Hake Report t-shirt, but thank you for that. I would like to make more t-shirts. John W. X15 gave a diamond and said 100% right. Mayo, white cream, is for beta males. Thank you. Yeah, it's disgusting. And, yeah, it's gross. But maybe I should get over it and be able to eat it. Anything. I don't know. I guess I was spoiled as a kid. Joe Maddox says, do you listen to Christian radio K-Love? Thoughts? I do not listen to it. I have heard it before. I don't, I listen, when I drive, which is not a whole lot, I listen to talk radio nowadays. And it's not a whole lot. I used to listen to more when I drove a lot at my prior job, driving around to different customers' houses all over the place. Dark Side of the Bear, what? Hosting the show. Thank you. Joe Maddox says, writers and actors lie for a living. Yeah, and writers aren't supposed to, but they do. Interesting phenomenon, huh? Noah's Arkansas says, Baldwin is a phony. He was taught that mess. Yeah. And he's so, like, flamboyant in the way that he acted. Crazy. Sick person. Yeah, he was. He was not an honorable man. It's not, and it's actually a disservice to any kids who may be influenced into looking up to him by these black radical adults and liberal male and female adults who act like this was a man to look up to. All he did was push victimhood and grievance, false grievance, actually. He didn't even have anything to complain about. Not on behalf of anybody. Those slaves who were slaves would have, if they were Christians, I think most of them were, would rightly have rejected this guy. Been like, disown him. You're not me. Degenerate. I don't know if they would have used the word degenerate, but that's what he was. Did he get kicked out of America? Went to Europe? A Roman Polanski thing? According to Tomiko Anderson. I don't know. Anyways, I got to get to some calls. You guys been on hold for some time. George, first-time caller out of Austin, Texas. George, it's good to hear from you. What's up?
Good to hear from you. Happy, was it a straight man or was it happy?
Men's History Month. The straightness is
happy?
Implied. And even if you're, let's say some people, they so-called struggle with that, or they think that they're got that issue, but they don't accept it. That's cool. If you don't accept it, that's right, because you shouldn't accept it as right.
Exactly. I was actually going to. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go for it.
I was actually going to go to that if they were going to have another march, but I heard there was a lot of other stuff added to that march in Boston. I think it was.
Oh, you're talking about the Straight Pride Month?
Yeah, the Straight Pride Parade.
Yeah, there's supposed to be one. I know that there's one in Boston. There's an unrelated one, independent, I should say, in Modesto, where we participated in it. Jesse Lee Peterson spoke, and I was out there shouting at Antifa. Thank God they were unmasked so that they could not attack us without reprise. But I think we're going to have another one here up in Modesto. I say here, but in California, NorCal. And that's cool. Yeah, at the end of the month. I think the 29th is what it is.
Yeah.
It's a Saturday.
Well, I'm in Texas. I don't know if I can travel that.
Yeah, no worries. It's all right.
Yeah.
Just join us on Periscope or whatever.
Yeah, definitely. I'll be with y'all in spirit. I was going to say that so that the last caller, in reference to him, he was saying that what can he do? Yeah. To and the thought that came to my mind. I know you guys don't really care for Bible thumpers, but the reason why I stick to the scriptures because you don't want things outside in the world to deter you from what's in the Bible. And one of the stories that came to my mind was the story of Job. How Job, he had everything come against him. I actually talked about it in the chat earlier on YouTube. Job had everything taken away from him, including I want to say his full health, but his
he had sores all over his body. That's true.
Yeah, painful bores, like like I forget how they call it, but
they call them boils. Boils, I think.
Yeah, it was
gross.
So bad that just moving was painful.
Yeah,
and one of the things, his wife told him to curse God and die.
Right.
Going through all this.
Yep.
Yeah. And
what an evil woman, huh?
The thought came to my mind, as an example. He said, stop talking all that foolishness and all the other stuff. And, he didn't think nothing of it other than, hey, I'm not going to fall into that, and like I said, if I were to answer Jesse's question earlier is, how should you be? I wouldn't say be exactly like Job, but be yourself, but don't fall into the world as it is, if that makes any sense. Don't let the world persuade you, even though you may be a tree blowing in the wind, but, make sure that your roots are deep enough so that you don't topple over, if that makes any sense.
All right. Appreciate so that's a word of encouragement to Art and to all of us as men?
Yes, because like things can seem lost, and it is,
that's true.
It's painful. That's the part. It's painful.
Right.
But what can you do? I mean, there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, if you want to contact someone, I guess you can contact a men's rights activist. But I mean, if it were me, like honestly, I wouldn't even be in that situation. I don't have kids or a wife or even a girlfriend,
right?
Because I'm waiting for the Lord to hand me that. But when you've already jumped into a battle that's already a loss, you might as well just count it a blessing that it's not not worse for you. And if the kids come back, that's great. At least that's how I see it.
Yeah. By the way, are you white or black? Out of curiosity.
I'm black.
Nice. And then what's your name in the chat, in the YouTube chat, just out of curiosity?
It's the Black Metal. I'll just try to see if I can stay low here real quick.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate the input. That's cool. Yeah. That is a good man to remember for. I don't know if he was a good man, but it's a good story to remember for Men's History Month, because you are supposed to handle stuff well.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Thanks, man. Appreciate it, George. Good to hear from you. Call again.
Yeah, you too. Yep. All right.
Take care. Let me quickly get to John in Florida, a first-time caller. John, what's up? How you doing?
Hey, man, doing all right.
Right on.
First time actually watching your show, dude. I watched a lot of Jesse.
Stay close to your phone. You're coming across kind of far away.
Hey, can you hear me a little bit better
Much
now?
better, thank you. Yep.
All right. I was saying I watched a lot of Jesse, and I've watched you for about 15 minutes, and I've heard homo and black. Golly, you like Jesse 2.0, man.
I know.
You keep listening to Jesse, you're going to get you in trouble, though, brother.
I don't know, man. I'm just trying to put out what's right,
It's like a clan meeting, brother.
All right, if that's how you feel, I guess the clans were Christians compared to what's going on right now.
That's like if I said, you're a
John,
red-headed ginger faggot. You know what I mean?
I gotta hang up on him. He's a snake. So John, I don't know if that's his real name, probably not. His thing said, "Thank you for your show." And then he claims that he listened for 15 minutes, but he listened for more than 15 minutes. But he said, "Thank you for your show." And then he called me what he is. He said some crazy bad word, right? I do not endorse the F word for homosexual, by the way. What a sick person. Very sick. Yeah, it might be. I don't know. Sorry about that, kids. There's evil in the world, right? But whatever. Let me get to Robert in Kansas before we come to the break or to the end. Robert, thanks for calling. What's up? Happy Men's History Month, by the way.
Hey, good morning.
Yeah,
hey,
listen. Side note, before I get to you, Robert, hang on. This guy, he said, I'm a new fan and I really like your show. That's what he told the screener. What a snake, huh? Can't be straightforward. Anyways, that's kind of a bannable offense, right? Anyways, Robert, back to you. What's up?
Hey, Hake. Let's see. That last caller, that was interesting.
Yeah, I knew that I should have hung up just probably 5 or 10 seconds before that. But anyways.
Do you know what a bundle of sticks is called?
I do. Don't repeat it. Okay. But that is what he said.
To it that way, right? It's okay, right? If you refer to it in the proper context, isn't it okay?
But not on this show because nobody knows what that is. Everybody's thinking the other thing.
Okay.
And plus, we're on YouTube. If we were not on YouTube, and I weren't already demonetized on YouTube, then I would be like fine. But And plus, this is kids. This is a kid-friendly show, and you don't want to teach kids to be playing around saying the bad word and saying, "What? I just mean this." "What? I just mean female dog," and stuff like that.
Okay. I got a question for you then.
All right.
I was on your show the other day, okay, and I used a phrase called "son of a gun." Now, I don't think I've ever said that before in my life, but I was trying to be on the radio.
It was funny because you sounded like you were gonna say the real phrase. And I'm like, man, this guy's making me nervous.
Yeah, but then here's the thing, though, Hake. I did some research, and apparently, a bitch is just a female dog.
I know that.
Okay.
Everybody knows that. You're not supposed to say that. This is not the Jesse Lee Peterson show, Robert. You can't say that.
Well, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I don't want to break the rules. You tell me.
I
what
appreciate
they are. So I'm sorry. But I was just thinking, if you use it in the right context, like I have a male dog, and he's literally a son of a, he literally is. There's nothing wrong with it. Okay.
Yeah.
What else was I going to say? I was going to say, you've been, what do you think about my new term for women? Okay, I'm just going to call them sex demons. What do you think about that?
I don't know.
You know what I'm referencing? The doctor, the black doctor, she talked about sex demons.
Right.
Okay, it was on Jesse's show, but anyway, I just thought that was, when I see a pretty girl, I just, that's kind of what I'm thinking.
Well, it's not that they themselves are the demons necessarily. They are possessed of demons in many cases, probably most. But I wouldn't call them themselves demons. So it just seems slightly inaccurate and also kind of like harsh, maybe harsher than you need. But
right. You're probably right, Hake. I'll think about that. I want to talk about this censorship. They pulled Jesse off, and it really made me mad. I can't believe it. And I think he had that dark kind of armor.
Did you know that it didn't make him mad?
It didn't?
Yeah, it didn't.
He just said it's I'll just keep moving on like he says, right? Yeah, man, it just
he does want to get back on the YouTube stream if he can. Of course, but it didn't bother him.
Yeah, but he had that black armor, right? He had that armor where he could say some things that maybe if you were to say or I were to say.
Oh,
like
you're talking about he got a lot more leeway because he's black. Is what you're saying? Maybe, yeah.
So
but he has like spiritual armor, which is better,
Absolutely.
in the sense that it protected him from acting out or getting angry because he says stuff that you or I could say when you and I can say it out of anger, but he says it out of pure love. And it really comes across that way. There are a lot of blind people who call him hateful, but anybody who's paying attention, who's like not that blind, can tell that he's coming from love. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's telling the truth, and that's why if you've been taught lies your whole life and someone starts telling the truth, it does bother you,
Right.
Like, I don't hate Jews, right? But I get on here and I talk about Jews. And
right.
A lot of times I get told that I hate them. And it's like, well, I'm just noticing patterns here, guys. I don't hate anybody. But I want to talk about censorship considering white men who have stood up. You had a caller that talked about it took a black guy to stand up for whites. And you talked about...
I had a caller who said that?
I believe so, yeah.
Maybe not today, though.
Remember Steve King stood up, though, right? And he got what he got.
Congressman Steve King, yep.
David Duke has been talking about, like, maintaining a racial identity for whites for decades, and that guy's pretty much pushed off of everything. Like, they think he's Satan.
We're opening the treasure chest.
There's other things like the Daily Stormer, stuff like that. Now, people say, oh, well, that's Nazi. Well... These communists, man, if you're pro-life, they're going to call you
They'll call
a
anything Nazi, yeah.
Yeah, if you're pro-family, like straight, not gay stuff, they're going to call you a Nazi. You understand? Like anything that diverts from that, they're going to say that. So these Daily Stormer guys are just saying, yeah, we need to have families and we need to, do the right thing. And they're like, oh, well, that's Nazi.
Right.
You can't advocate to end abortion and for white babies like Jesse does.
So you're saying that there have been a lot of white guys standing up for what's right. Is that what you're saying?
They're down, dude. They're shut down so hard it's not even funny. Like, they removed them from the internet,
I
not
know.
just YouTube.
It's not right.
Like, they can't even get server access. Like, they won't even let
I
them.
know. I've heard about that. It's wild. It is really evil. And it's not surprising. It's not surprising. It is an evil world. The attack is on whites, anybody who's telling the truth or being remotely independent-minded. Even if they're, like, not even conservative necessarily, not even standing for the truth, they'll get shut down if it doesn't go along with what the mainstream evil wants. So I grant you that. There's been a lot of white guys standing up for. I don't know if all of them are standing up for what's right. Some of them have, gone become kind of what they hate, in the sense that they'll identify with race since they're being attacked as identifying with race. They'll identify with it as a self-defense measure because they don't know what else to do, and they don't see the Christians being a good example. So they don't see a lot of these guys still do have, they still have their weaknesses. They still have a big ego. They still have anger. I don't know where David Duke is coming from, for example. Never really got into him. Never got into him at all, really. But I've heard him on the Jesse Lee Peterson show, and honestly, it was kind of a turnoff because he just sounded like he was going down a list of talking points. So it's hard to get into that. There was no life in it. But there are guys that are standing for what's right, some of them. And I appreciate that, and that is true. But as far as what Jesse does, he's standing for what's right, period. It doesn't matter white or not. And,
James,
I wasn't into that.
I know you do a lot of producing. I know you do a lot of producing for Jesse.
I don't anymore. I just put out the church stuff.
Did you make the website? When I go on jesseleepeterson.com, did you do that?
No, I don't know how to make websites.
Oh, it's really nice. Whoever did that, it's really nice.
Right on.
I want to ask you, just because you are up there, do you know a guy named James David Manning? He's a pastor out in New York.
I know of him.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would love to see Jesse Lee Peterson and him have a conversation about the blacks. I think it would be the funniest thing.
I think they've already talked in the past.
Oh, really?
Appreciate
Damn,
the tip, man. Send your requests to the producer.
All right, man. Hey.
Appreciate it, man.
Are you going to train your core? Hey, you got to train when you're walking. Look up online core exercises.
Okay.
Right? And then strengthen your core, and then make sure your back, like you do back stretches, so your back is flexible,
yeah,
and then your core is strengthened, and that will put your spine, it'll pull your spine in line whenever you strengthen the front of your body. A lot of people don't know that's where a lot of back problems come from, is you have weak abs.
Okay.
And so definitely look into that, and I wish you well, man, and good luck. Staying healthy like that, you're going to be able to think a lot better too, Hake. Your brain works better, so it's not just physical.
Right on, man. Appreciate that, Robert. Take care, dude.
All right, brother. I'll let you go. Bye.
All right. Very nice. Thank you to Noah's Arkansas, Beard the Butcher, Trills Von... Hold on. I think it's Trills Von D. Trills Von D. Shout out, man. Appreciate you. For the top support, Joe Maddock, John WX15, Arizona lineman, Ben Oberst, Shaggy Boy, Nigerian Prince 420, Mutiny on the Ark. Whoa, imagine that. Thank you for the lemons, ice cream, diamonds, ninja guineas. I think I've seen them. And if I didn't, it's okay. Appreciate you guys. That's cool. Before, we're about time to end. I wanted to talk a little bit about this Chinese Communist Party virus. There's people acting nuts right now. Don't know what's going to happen. I'm glad Trump is in office in these times. I know he was looking to postpone the election, or at least saying that he was, because there is a lot of possibility of voter fraud. Don't fall for the sleazy people, the cowards. I got to end it, though. Apologies for the beta stream. It was Boomer Tech. It was Black Tech. It was Hake Tech. But we will get it. We will get it right soon. Sorry to the callers. I couldn't get to all of you, but we'll get you tomorrow. TheHakeReport.com for my stuff. JesseLeePeterson.com for Jesse Lee Peterson's stuff. Take care, guys.
Oh, wait. You might be right. You actually might be right.